How many people here know that when you're a Christian, our enemy's out to get us? Anybody know that? How many know that if you're not a Christian, the enemy's out to get you? Is that right? Doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. He hates you. He hates me. He hates everything about everything. He's out to destroy you. He's tried that with me a few times. And he's lost. And he's lost. And he's lost. And now what he's done, he's got me up here talking. And now he's trembling. All right? Okay. Now, give you a little history. Back in 1980 in January, I got pneumonia. Everybody gets pneumonia. No big deal. December of 1980, I got sick again. My parents thought I had pneumonia. So for a week straight, they fed me sherbet and 7-Up. They had no idea I was a diabetic. So when I went to the hospital, fighting for my life, my sugar was over 1,200. And I lived through it.
Praise God.
So we fast forward to 2003. I'm diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Later on, they put me on a drug called Humira. Okay, and I promise you there's a point to this. 2006, I get struck with double pneumonia. And I went to the emergency room. There was they called it a density, I think, on my lungs. And then they sent me home. Said, you've got pneumonia, take a Z-Pack, go home. They rushed me back to the hospital the next night. The density in my lung had tripled in less than 24 hours. It moved into double pneumonia. They almost put me on a breathing machine. My parents were on a trip out west. They called my mom, and she flew in because it was that scary. And I survived it. That's nothing compared to what I was about to face in 2008. But I'm going to go back to 2007. And I promise you, there's a point to this. In 2007, I'm a single dad of 3 kids, looking for the woman of my dreams. And I found her. And there were so many things throughout our dating process that had it gone just a little bit to the left or right, we would have never gotten married. She misread the way I was thinking. I misread the way she was thinking. She said, if I knew you were thinking that, I'd never married you. So, and again, and that's a whole story in itself. And I wish I had time to tell you that whole story because it's very significant in what I'm about to get into. We married February the 9th, 2008. Living high. March 2008, just a month later, I drive to Arkansas, Hope, Arkansas, drop off my kids, drive back by myself. So that was in March of 2008. May 21st, 2008. My wife and I have been married 3.5 months. I get up to go to work and I'm standing at my bathroom sink. And I turned around, and when I did, I got extremely dizzy and I caught myself like that. Great, got my balance back. And then this arm right here just drops. I couldn't move it. I couldn't lift it. I freaked out. So they take me to the hospital. Now I remember these things very distinctly, and I'm not going to get this detailed throughout, but I remember Mariah had a soccer game that night and the next night. And when I went to the emergency room, I told the doctor, I want out of here to go watch her play. He said, you're not going anywhere tonight. You've either had a stroke, you've had a warning that you're going to have a stroke, or that's what we call a pre-stroke. We're going to keep you overnight for observation. You'll be home tomorrow to watch your little girl play. Sounds great. Wake up the next morning. They take me down to the MRI room. They run me through the MRI. And it's one of those real closed-in ones. And that was not fun. Get back to my room. And I don't remember much after that. But I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that happened. Sherry was still working at the time. She's heading to work. She stops in to see me to see how I'm doing. And when she walked in, she said, hey, honey, how are you? And I said, where's my hurt? I need my hurt. She's going, what? She walks out to the nurse's station and she said, "What's going on in there?" "What are you talking about?" "He's not acting right. How long has he been like this?" "Oh, he was fine when he came back from his MRI." "Well, what have you done for him?" "We gave him some Tylenol." That was the answer. I was out of my head. So the doctor comes in to talk to me, and while he's talking to me, Sherry walks in the room, and apparently my demeanor changes. And the doctor said, "What? Is there stress in your marriage? Is that what it is?" And she said, "I've only been married 3.5 months. I think it's stress that's causing all this mess." We had a real caring doctor. So later on in the day, they sent me up for an EEG. Now you guys know, when you're diabetic, at this time for 28 years, you take the test. You've been through it, you've had the test, go take it. Not this time. I was up there fighting, I was combative. I said, "There's nobody putting that stuff on my gooey stuff they put on your head." Didn't want to mess up my hair, so I said no. So after about, 15 minutes or so, they said just send me back to his room. Hours later, they sent me back up there. Sherry talked me into going back up to take this EEG. So I'm sitting there on this table, and they're putting the little things on my head, and I'm being pretty calm. And I heard the nurse say, "This will take about an hour." Well, I'm thinking that I'm going to be stuck in that MRI tube for an hour. I started ripping stuff off of me, and I said, there is no way. They had to call security and get me out of there. And I heard the doctor say, "Well, fine. If he's not going to take the test, send him home." He couldn't have cared less about my life. So they set the discharge papers in order. Is that right? They started the discharge orders. I am completely clueless at what's going on. I honestly don't remember most of this. Most of this information is coming from her. Now, I'm speaking in ways that it's just, can't understand it. One of my favorite parts of the story is that the guy next to us was getting ready to have a surgery. And they're over there going, "He's nuts. That guy's crazy." What do you think my wife does? She goes after him. She got up, walked over there, she said, "He is not crazy. He is sick. Do you not think I can hear you over there?" And they prayed for me. They actually apologized and prayed for me. Don't mess with a man's woman. Especially mine. She got on the phone with her sister. My brother-in-law, which is her sister's husband, is one of the most respected heart surgeons in the region. And she called, or somehow got on the phone with them, basically said, "Bring him to St. Joseph's in Lexington. I'll receive him as my patient. We will take care of him." Because they told Sherry, she said, "What am I supposed to do with him?" "I'll take him to another hospital." "I can't take him into a hospital like this." "Well, then you can hire an ambulance, but you got to pay for it up front." They were giving us no options. But my brother-in-law stepped up, who was a heart surgeon, brought me to Lexington. I don't remember the ride out there. I remember getting there. They asked me questions. They got me stabilized, lumbar punctures, the whole 9 yards. Once they got me stabilized, they put me on a wide range of antibiotics because they could not figure out what was wrong with me. Well, they knew what was wrong. They didn't know what was causing it. So they put me on all these antibiotics. About 8 days later, all the tests had come back except two. The West Nile virus test and the herpes simplex test. Herpes simplex is very common. West Nile is not. They said it's herpes simplex. Diagnosed him, sent him home. 8 days, I'm back home. Thursday night. Got my $400 medication because of that diagnosis. That Friday night, went to Mariah's soccer game. Went out to eat with my wife, felt great. Saturday morning, went to my daughter's soccer game. Halftime, I said, "Somebody take me home." Sunday morning, I was deathly ill. Running fever, extremely, extremely sick. I got chills. God's got something for somebody in here tonight. I don't know if you guys can sense that, but I'm sensing it already. And I've never sensed it when I was talking. God's like, I can never get a word in edgewise. God's got something for some.